The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCmedia, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
This week in FRCmedia News. 2 months since the launch of Southcoast Rail, the MBTA is hearing backlash on delays and noise in residential neighborhoods. Fall River's newer state representative continues to learn the ropes of life at the State House. And Fall River will again have a full slate of events this Memorial Day weekend. All this and more coming up. It's Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. This is FRCmedia News. I'm Keith Tebow. 2 months after the launch of Southcoast Rail, the MBTA continues to field complaints over service delays and noise near the Weavers Cove layover station in Fall River. The MBTA had scheduled a community meeting for tonight to address those issues, but due to today's rainy weather, that meeting has been postponed until June 5th. During the few weeks of service, Keolis Commuter Services was unable to provide engineers for trains on the Fall River and New Bedford lines, resulting in weekend service delays. Passengers affected were bused from South Station in Boston to New Bedford and Fall River. Residents in the north end of the city have complained that noise and vibrations at the layover station have impacted sleep habits and their overall quality of health. During a meeting Monday of the City Council's Committee on Public Safety, North Main Street resident Dr. Jean Powell provided data that showed noise levels during overnight hours are above recommended maximum in urban settings.
12 noon does not bother me, right? 2 a.m. does bother me. It bothers me because it wakes me up, right? And how to say, what I have found is that nighttime noise, and I have had disrupted sleep, it affects my health. It affects my ability to work. I'm concerned that it's going to affect the quality of the value of my home. I have really been thrown into a crisis. I really have. It's like, oh my God. As a psychologist, I need to have a brain that works. And I would say anyone here, you try working on 4 hours of sleep. This is a direct threat to my health. It's a direct threat to my work. So I do take it seriously.
MBTA Director of Outreach Gene Fox says the operation of Southcoast Rail falls on the shoulders of Keolis and the MBTA Operations Division and looks forward to officials addressing these complaints.
What I'm hearing, and I don't know if everyone else has heard the same, what I'm hearing is it's more those late night trains that are problematic for folks. You know, you can make it through the day, but it's the late night noise. So I can assure you that Railroad Operations and Keolis monitors ridership continuously, and twice a year they tweak schedules. But I think when we talk on Thursday night, we ask about the kinds of activities that are happening. Your point is well taken, that the Weavers Cove activity was not what we initially anticipated, and you want to know precisely what that activity is. This is a new service. The Commonwealth hasn't launched service like this in decades. So it was embarrassing enough to have this bright new, beautiful, spanking clean, beautiful train running, and then in 5 days it didn't run because we didn't have people to drive them. Right. But we fixed that. So we're learning.
8th Bristol District State Representative Steven Ouellette, who serves a small section of Fall River, is quickly learning that being a lawmaker requires perseverance and patience. Traits, he says, he's learned as an office holder in Westport during the time of State Representative Paul Schmidt.
Because I've worked with Paul so many years, like the whole time he was in, had a pretty good idea of it, but you know, I'm used to getting things done quick, and that's not the way you do things in Boston. You gotta sell 160 people on your idea. We've got to go through, like the budget amendments we just went through was 1,560 of them. The main budget has 6,000. The main bills are 6,000. So it's a lot of homework, it's a lot of hearings, so you keep busy. The diversity, whereas you have some things that the cities want that the towns don't want. Towns more or less leave us alone. Let us get our things done. We don't want all the big build out. In the cities, they've got the build out. They want to try to handle the problems that come with some of that, and they want to fix the infrastructure, sidewalks. We've got the train that we've got to straighten out now that people are happy about. But there's so many things out there for us to do.
As a freshman lawmaker, Representative Ouellette says he appreciates the support he has received from colleagues and understands the limitations low seniority play in passing budget requests for local projects.
Again, the strong delegation. On the New Bedford side, you have Montigny that's been there a very long time. He was on Ways and Means, and of course we've got Roderick's. So I mean, that's one of the reasons why I ran, is because you can get things done through Ways and Means with Mike Roderick's. So yeah, we talk to them on the side, see what can move forward. Get together with Rep. Viola and Sylvia. I just left an event with them literally 10 minutes ago. We do a lot of discussion and look, we need to move this, that. There's earmarks. Carol got some good money, and Alan got some good money. I was trying to get the tennis courts fixed up at Maplewood Park. Unfortunately, my end for this district didn't get passed through because they concentrated on Carol and Alan's.
Representative Ouellette, a former police officer, has co-sponsored a bill to help local law enforcement control activity at a crime scene.
Like the HALO Act is an act protecting officers and public safety personnel, EMS. We've got a problem right now where people are literally standing in front of emergency personnel trying to be heroes on the internet. Keep in mind, I had some concerned calls on it because they thought we were trying to stop people from videoing a scene. It is not to stop people from videoing a scene, it's to stop people from interfering at a scene. Literally getting in front of police officers. It's more EMS than police officers, because police officers obviously have more power to address the situation. But we want to have a 25-foot buffer. Look, step back, we're trying to work on a scene here. It's pretty sad, and I actually was on the police department where I saw people step in front of us just to be nosy and not help at all, where you've got somebody literally dying, whether it be a vehicle or an incident. It's just super sad, and unfortunately in today's society we need to address it.
Representative Ouellette has been assigned to 5 committees and was recently assigned a permanent office. He says the pace of activity at the State House can, at times, seem deliberate and frenetic at the same time.
When I've been a selectman for years, we put every little dot on the agenda. And if it's not on the agenda, sorry, we can't address it. In Boston, they don't require the open meeting per se. We do have formal house, obviously, but more things can get put directly to you that you're addressing, whereas you don't have the previous feedback and whatnot. So that was kind of the biggest surprise. Waiting 3 months for an office was a unique surprise, and then getting put in a basement with walls this high and cubicles that there's 5 of us in there that you try to have a conversation with somebody and it's bouncing off the walls. So there's some unique things. Some great things though. Every day there's like schools going up there. Espiritu Santo was up there last week. It can be fun. Obviously, there's a lot of serious business, but it can be fun too. It was Senior Citizen Day last week. Almost every day there's something.
Representative Ouellette has access to office space in Government Center to meet with constituents. Appointments and questions can be directed by calling 508-677-0905. Last week, Fall Mayor Paul Coogan delivered his version of the FY 2026 city budget. The $516 million spending plan is $31.4 million higher than FY 2025. Much of the spending increases are taking place in city schools and the cost of solid waste removal. The city will also begin contributing more to aid in the construction of the new Diamond Regional Vocational Technical High School, which is slated to open next year. The city plans to raise real estate taxes by the maximum of 2.5%. The mayor calls the increase significant, but needed to ensure the city delivers the level of service residents expect.
We're working hard to get those costs down, at the same time take care of all of our employees and our retirees. So that's where we stand on that. There are a number of pressures on the budget. There's some increased revenue. We're still getting a pretty good return on investment income. State funding went up a little bit. So there are things we're looking at, and obviously we're very pleased with the budget. Don't think that Fall is going to get hit too bad. It depends on what happens with the federal government, like with community development and a few of these other agencies. But we should be able to go along pretty peacefully here for a year or two. I mean, obviously, she built in a stabilization fund for Diamond, and we'll be okay. We're going to be okay. It's just a matter of making sure we keep an eye on spending and use the taxpayers' dollars wisely.
The City Council will begin its budget meetings with department heads next week and has until the end of June to approve, reject, or reduce the budget before it takes effect on July 1st. The unemployment rate in Fall River dropped in the month of April. The jobless rate sits at 7.1%, down from 7.8% in March. 1 year ago, the unemployment rate in Fall River was 5.2%. Communities surrounding Fall River and regional gateway cities also saw a decrease in their unemployment rate. Statewide, the jobless rate in April rose 0.2% to 4.6%. Over 800 Southcoast students earned degrees at last weekend's 58th commencement exercises at Bristol Community College. The ceremony marked the first for President Dr. Cedric Harris, who took over at Bristol in March. He said the Bristol class of 2025 reflects the diversity of the South Coast.
But this is a very powerful class, a wonderfully diverse graduating class, very strong in number, 881. The age range in this class starts with our youngest graduate today, 17, and our oldest graduate at 81. We have graduates from all over Bristol County, up and down the East Coast, from as far north as Vermont and as far south as Florida, to the west of our state, and even internationally, India and Jamaica. We have 19 military or veterans or military affiliate students graduating today, representing the U.S. Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, as well as the U.S. Coast Guard.
Lauren Wood of Seekonk was this year's class valedictorian. The communications major used her speech to inspire graduates to continue to expand their knowledge.
Why Bristol? Being that it was close to home, as well as having a low tuition as compared to a four-year institution, and that it was a small-sized school with dedicated faculty and staff who work closely with students, I knew that I was going to be supported and successful here. Because at Bristol, you're seen as a person. My message to all the graduates seated before me is to keep on keeping on. Do not let anyone tell you what you should and should not do. You are the one who dictates what your dreams are. But the dream doesn't stop here. You need to keep going.
Time again to find out what's happening in terms of local business expansion, growth, moving into the city, and other economic development news. Here in Fall River, I'm joined by Kevin Lawrence. He's the editor, publisher, and owner of Fall River Development News, which you can find on Facebook. Kevin, how are you this week?
Good day, Keith. Happy to be here once again.
All right, few things on the agenda this week. Let's start. You posted a story about a lot's been made in terms of the launch of Southcoast Rail. It's been a couple of months. There's been some issues with some noise in the north end and also some delays in terms of weekend runs, primarily out of Boston, heading back to this area. But you found something that is an issue as well in terms of the station itself, in terms of upkeep over the past couple of months.
Yeah, it appears there's been a lack of maintenance at both of Fall River's MBTA facilities. Of course, we have the train depot on Duval Street, and then we have an MBTA layover facility on North Main Street. If you've driven by either one, you may have noticed the grass is a foot tall. There's been absolutely no maintenance, general maintenance, according to our photos, which were taken just days ago, your viewers will see those photos where the grass is overgrown, weeds have overtaken the landscaping, trash can be seen inside the traffic islands at the train depot on Duval Street, and they also have a single porta potty toilet at that Duval Street train depot. They don't have actual built-in toilet facilities there, so they have a porta potty. We opened the door and it was absolutely filthy and needed to be emptied. The layover facility on North Main Street, the grass is also overgrown. Weeds have overtaken the area. It's just a lack of maintenance. It's kind of disappointing since it's only been running since March and they're not maintaining it. So hopefully the MBTA's general manager is set to be here in Fall River. He's having a meeting to hear residents' complaints. That meeting has now been moved to Thursday, June 5th at the Morton's Middle School on North Main Street, 1135 North Main Street. That's going to be coming up on June 5th. And I'm sure they'll be getting an earful from residents regarding the lack of maintenance conditions, the noise of the layover facility, and the train delays.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that works out coming up
Yeah.
now in a couple of weeks, as you mentioned.
Yep.
We mentioned earlier in the show here that that meeting has been postponed as yet to June 5th.
Yeah.
All right, up next, there's going to be another marijuana dispensary coming in Fall River very soon.
Yeah, this one's called the Agriculturalist. It's right off of 195 at 1 Lewiston Street in the historic Chase Mill Complex, which was constructed in 1872. The mill is also the home to U-Haul Moving and Storage and Sherrill Wagner International, LLC. They just put up a giant sign on Rodman Street. The Agriculturalist is set to open sometime in June. That's according to their Instagram page. And they say they're more than just cannabis, a shared commitment to quality education and a culture where everyone belongs at this new dispensary coming to Lewiston Street in Fall River in June, which is adjacent to a residential neighborhood. It's also adjacent to the Department of Community Maintenance building. So this is supposed to open, and this will be the 10th dispensary in the city of Fall River, believe it or not.
Yeah, crazy. We talked about how when all this started, there was excitement about it. There was the Northeast one there near Tiverton, and then now it's pretty well spread out in many areas of the city. All right, finally, there's another restaurant coming to Fall River. This one's coming to Pleasant Street at a location that for many years used to house Chinese cuisine. Now it's going to be something different.
Yeah, this is called the Tate Restaurant. Hopefully we're pronouncing it right. At 1236 Pleasant Street. The new restaurant will serve American and Dominican dishes, so not an Asian restaurant. The spot was formerly occupied, you may remember, by the Mark U Restaurant, which was in business for 7 decades here in the city of Fall River. Then Kwang's Kitchen took that spot over, and they ceased operating in 2018. So this spot has been vacant for roughly 6-7 years now, and it's nice to see some activity on Pleasant Street. We wish them well. A new American and Dominican restaurant, the Tate Restaurant, coming soon to that spot. No word as to when they're officially going to open. They need to do some remodeling inside. I peered in the window and I see some activity underway already. So hopefully by the end of the summer, they'll be up and running.
All right. Check out Kevin's fine work on Fall River Development News on Facebook. Follow him, like him, share his material, because he's got some good stuff about what's happening in terms of economic development and business activity in Fall River. All right, Kevin, we'll talk again next week. Take care.
Thank you, Keith.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Assistant Store Manager, 7-Eleven, located at 614 Pleasant Street, seeks a full-time assistant store manager, responsible for supervising the operational and organizational standards of the store. Job number 225-35787. Maintenance Technician, Inframark, located at 1979 Bay Street, is looking for a full-time maintenance technician to inspect, maintain, repair, and install mechanical hydraulics on all facility equipment. Job number 225-35791. Quality Assurance Supervisor, Lineage, located at 420 Current Road, is seeking a full-time Quality Assurance Supervisor, responsible for overseeing the food safety compliance for the Fall River, Avon, and Sharon warehouses. Job number 225-35465. Rubber Mixer Tubing Operator. C.H. Yates Rubber Corporation, located at 222 Sykes Road, is looking for a full-time rubber mixer tubing operator. For more information, call 508-674-3378. Dollar Tree, located at 152 Orswell Street, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Operations Assistant Manager, job number 225-35203. Assistant Store Manager, job number 225-30681. For more information about these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. Fall River's Veteran Services Officer has been on the job for about a year now and says his office remains committed to meeting the needs of city vets. Talos Farris says the office receives calls daily from veterans asking if they qualify for federal or state assistance to help make ends meet. He says the biggest need for veterans at this point is finding affordable housing.
We have those individuals that, for the most part, are either elderly or, almost elderly, and they've been living in their apartments or homes for an extended period of time and have enjoyed, reasonable rent prices of $700 to $900 a month for that rental. And now with the way things are going, a lot of those properties are changing hands, and the new property owners are coming in and they're raising the rent price for individuals on a fixed income. That can be a very, very difficult change in life. And we've tried to do the best that we can to assist as many people as possible with that change. That's reaching out to community partners like the Veterans Transition House and their outreach coordinators, and just trying to do the best that we can to help folks find themselves in a position to at least find somewhere to live with a reasonable rent rate that they can afford. Although very challenging, so far we've continued to kind of meet the need, so to speak. Will we ever be able to completely say we have our hands completely around it? Absolutely not. But we're doing the best that we can.
Mr. Farah says Massachusetts is a leader in providing resources for veterans, particularly with the passage last year of the HEROES Act, which, among other things, allows communities to increase real estate tax breaks for veterans who own property. This year is Mr. Farris's first in organizing the Memorial Day events across Fall River. He says he appreciates the number of veterans organizations in the city and their commitment to recognizing their members' service and sacrifice.
One of the things that I think we do an extremely good job of is recognizing the different people in and throughout the city whenever they served. If they have a marker here in the city that kind of marks them in their service, we are making sure that each position, each monument gets a wreath in recognition of that person's service. Although they may no longer be here with us, we're able to pay tribute to them on Memorial Day, as I think that's befitting. So as people drive around the city of Fall River, you'll notice in random places, and some not so random, markers of monuments or monuments themselves with wreaths laid to the foot of the monument, just as a salute to that person and their service and them being a member of the community of Fall River at some point in time in their life.
Mr. Farah says even though the United States is not currently part of an active military conflict, the importance of Memorial Day should never be forgotten.
I know that anytime we're in conflict, Memorial Day and Veterans Day seem to have a little bit more of a highlight on them. But the ability for us as a community and a city to recognize the lives of those individuals that are from our cities and towns that were lost in defense of our country, I don't think that ever loses its place or its reverence. I think because we're not in wartime per se, that we have even more of a responsibility to highlight Memorial Day and Veterans Day and things like that, to say, kind of a thank you to those that have given the ultimate sacrifice.
Fall River again has a full slate of Memorial Day events this weekend. Here's a look. On Saturday, May 24th, there'll be two events at Bicentennial Park. At 6:30 p.m., the Italian-American War veterans will hold a ceremony at their monument. Then at 7:30 p.m., Massachusetts Chapter 2 of Rolling Thunder will hold a candlelight vigil with Gold Star families. At 8 a.m. on Sunday, May 25th, a ceremony, mass, and breakfast will be held at Blessed Trinity Parish and the Polish War Veterans Monument on Plymouth Avenue. At 10:30 a.m., a ceremony will be held at the Griffin Park Memorial in the city's Corky Row neighborhood. On Memorial Day, Monday, May 26th, there'll be a ceremony at the War on Terrorism Memorial at North Park at 10 a.m. Then the day will culminate with the annual Memorial Day Parade, which will kick off at 2 p.m., beginning at Kennedy Park and continuing down South Main Street. All events will take place rain or shine and are free and open to the public. We'll wrap up this edition of FRC Media News right after this.
Hello and welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Elfelt. Elfelt is a 4-year-old beagle mix. She's been with us for about 4 weeks now. Elfelt would do good with kids 12 plus just because she is a little jumpy. She doesn't quite understand her size. She looks like a tiny thing, but she is 42 pounds at the moment. We do prefer that you own your own home with her, preferably, or you have some breed experience, because we do believe she is a little bit of a pit bull mix mixed in there with that beagle. We recommend kids 12 plus from her because she is a strong pull on leash and she can be a little jumpy when she's excited. She's not mean at all, but she will knock a small child over just because she doesn't quite understand that she is a medium-sized dog, not huge. If you're interested in Elfelt, you can come on down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, and you can go on our website at foreverpaws.com and fill out an application. Today we have Nocturne. Nocturne is an 8-year-old domestic medium hair. He did come to us with his sister, Nebula. They are a bonded pair. We are trying to get them to go home together. They've been with us for about 26 days now. They were surrenders. Unfortunately, their owner had passed away, so another reason we are trying to get them to go together so we don't have to cause any more kind of heartbreak. Nocturne is a very loving cat. Every time you come into this room, he's the first one to run up to you for attention and pets. He loves making his biscuits in his bed. He gets along well with most of the other cats. Him and his sister do have little spats every once in a while, but any sibling pair does. If you are interested in our bonded pair, Nocturne and Nebula, you can come to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River. You can go into our website at foreverpaws.com and fill out an application.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please visit our website, frmedia.org, for more local news and information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great long Memorial Day weekend. We'll see you next Thursday.